Charlie Munger is proposing that cryptocurrency be banned in the United States. What did this man have to say in the past about the internet, and should we really put a lot of weighted value behind this? Keep in mind that Charlie Munger is one of the richest people in the world. He's a very prominent, well-respected individual in the space, not necessarily in the crypto space, but in finance. And we have an article here from Watcher Guru going into more details. I also have a quote that I want to pull up for you guys and what he was saying in regards to that of the internet. Just please keep in mind, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Everything I'm sharing is my own opinion. It's my own research. I highly encourage you to go do your own research. And with that being said, let's go ahead and dive on into the news. Bitcoin critic Charlie Munger proposes cryptocurrency ban in United States. The largest cryptocurrency asset had a rough 2022. Resultantly, skeptics were in the driving seat. Even though Bitcoin has put up an impressive show so far in 2023, people from this side of the spectrum haven't backed off. In a recent Wall Street Journal opinion piece, Berkshire Hathaway's vice chairman, Charlie Munger, demanded a cryptocurrency ban in the United States. China was wise to ban cryptocurrencies, Munger. In the article, he criticized the, quote, thousands of new cryptocurrencies issued by private companies that were allowed to publicly trade without making any disclosures or getting any governmental pre-approval. The Bitcoin critic attributed the, quote, gap in regulation to their rise. Munger wrote, a cryptocurrency is not a currency, not a commodity, and not a security. Instead, it's a gambling contract with a nearly 100% edge for the house, entered into in a country where gambling contracts are traditionally regulated only by states that compete in laxity. Furthermore, he added, obviously, the U.S. should now enact a new federal law that prevents this from happening. He asked policymakers to take inspiration from China, which announced a cryptocurrency crackdown in 2021. The Bitcoin critic said that the communist government banned this asset class because it, quote, wisely concluded that they would provide more harm than benefit. Tom Fitton points out here, legendary investor calls for crypto ban. Oddly, he approvingly cites the Chinese Communist government. This is not the first time Munger has voiced his opinion. In May last year, he gave Bitcoin the stupid and evil tags. A couple of months later, he also went on to compare cryptocurrencies to an, quote, open sewer. Now, also keep in mind that Warren Buffett had in the past, we're done with the article here, had equated Bitcoin to rat poison or rat poison squared. So these individuals are quite old. They're very heavily interested in investing into spaces such as railroads and Heinz, the ketchup company. And if they want to focus on those, sure. Do those provide actual real world value, something that you can physically hold and it actually moves around, does things with that? Yes. However, software performs a function. And when we take a look at cryptocurrencies, it's very innovative the way that people keep creating new ways of how transactions can be handled, ways that you can stake, way that there's to do lending, the fact that you can handle these things with smart contracts, the fact that it's on public ledgers, it can be decentralized. If anything, there comes across is more transparency, and it's still in its infancy stages, and it's being refined over time, and that's how we push it into the next stages where it can be more widely adopted, right? I think it makes sense that you have a lot of people that are trying various things, and we're seeing what sticks and what doesn't, as well as what players are more reputable and which ones aren't. And guess what? The more reputable companies, the more reputable cryptocurrencies are over the years showing their standing, that they can actually hold their ground and be able to move forward. For example, look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is still going, right? It was the first one. If anything was to potentially fall on its face flat, you would think that it would be the first one that came out of the gate. And here it is. It's holding itself well while other cryptocurrencies are still having issues. So to say that we should be banning cryptocurrency just because this gentleman right here does not seem to fully comprehend the pros of what cryptocurrency offers, I don't think that it's very fair. Now, keep in mind that there are other very prominent figures. So we're seeing, for example, MicroStrategy making heavily large investments into cryptocurrency, and Michael Saylor defending why he feels that there's so much value behind Bitcoin in particular. He's a real big proponent of Bitcoin. And, you got other big names too. You got Elon Musk. Look at the metaverse. The metaverse has some ties in with the capabilities of digital payments with cryptocurrencies. And the fact that these things can fluctuate in price just seems kind of an unfair comparison to trying to say, oh, it's with gambling. Like, you have centralized entities such as Coinbase or Binance of places where you can do trading, sure. But you also have decentralized platforms such as PancakeSwap, Uniswap. These sort of platforms make it much more publicly known the transactions that are taking place are legitimized. Because if you go through a centralized exchange, that tends to happen where? Off-chain. And when it's off-chain, it's much harder to be able to fully track these things, right? So we're in the early stages. Regulations, is it that there are no regulations at all? No, we're seeing an increase in regulations. We're seeing that the government seems to be becoming more and more open-minded to this. They're becoming bigger proponents of this. We're seeing that the Federal Reserve is trying to make their own stable coin on top of everything else. Heck, even China, like he's referencing China here. They're banning their own cryptocurrencies, but at the same time making their own stable coin. So obviously, they still see some degree of benefits behind this. Now, I also want to point this out to you guys. Charlie Munger, what did he say about the internet? Ooh, interesting question. He said, for society, the internet is wonderful, but for capitalists, it will be a net negative. It will increase efficiency, but lots of things increase efficiency without increasing profits. It is way more likely to make American businesses less profitable than more profitable. This is perfectly obvious, but very little understood. This was said back in May 1st of 2000, so almost 23 years ago. I don't think that's aged very well. Would you agree? Think about how many businesses that exist solely in the digital space. They don't have a store people can walk into. Think about businesses that do have a store that you can walk into, but now they're able to do even more sales because they're getting orders online. So this is shown very well in the case of, for example, Amazon, where their whole premise is largely built off of that idea. And they are one of the most successful stock-based companies ever. Think about how much money that they made. Think about how many jobs have been created. Yes, if you want to point out the fact that we've seen some issues with the jobs report for the tech sector in the recent quarter, okay, that takes place. You can't just always go up. However, as a whole, year over year, what we've been seeing is a large progressive growth of revenue being generated for various companies. And so if he said this with his idea of the internet, oh, this is perfectly obvious, but very little understood. You didn't understand it. It was obvious to many people that there was a huge opportunity there, and you missed the boat on this. We're talking about technology that has to do with the digital space. Charlie Munger didn't understand it back then, and it looks very heavily that he doesn't understand it still. His mind, his focus, his attention, his priorities are on other things. He just doesn't get it. He doesn't grasp it. Let us know what you guys think about this down in the comments below. Do you think that the government is going to take his word seriously and they're going to actually ban cryptocurrency in the United States, especially when we have senators and such that are pushing for support of cryptocurrency anyways? What do you guys think? Tell us your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. Would love to hear it. I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Please go do your own research. Thank you so much to my Patreon supporters. Double shout out. Thank you to WeLoveSafeman.com, Victor Vegas, Safe and Oz for being higher level patrons. And thank you to my YouTube members for your support as well. If you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to hit subscribe, hit the thumbs up like button. God bless, and we will see you in the next episode.